Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Olivia and this is my channel where I love to talk about all things nail polish. Today's video is one that I have been very excited for a while to plan and film, and it is all about my favorite glitter toppers. Not that type of glitter, but to give some context, this came out of the idea that I've been bouncing around with y'all for a while, saying I want to share some insights for how I personally tend to stick to like a low buy or a no buy, how I make more use out of the polishes that I already own instead of always buying every new polish drop that comes out. And for me, one of those strategies has been to find more creative ways to use toppers. And so that's the establishing context, right? Then, as I was sitting down and planning this out even more, I realized that I have glitter toppers, I have shimmer toppers, I have flaky toppers, and that's a whole lot of toppers to try to fit into a single video. So I'm not doing that. And instead, I'm breaking them out into their own separate dedicated videos and starting with glitter toppers. So in this video today, I'm going to show you an overview of some of my favorite glitter toppers that I have in my collection. And then I have a special bonus like treat at the end where I'm gonna show you how I make my own glitter toppers. I just it's a lot of fun for me. I'm someone who really loves matching and color coordinating. I mean, as you can see, exhibit A. But I often have found that there are times when I'm like, you know what, I'm wearing teal today and I want some more sparkle. I wish I could have a teal topper, but like nobody sells just like a teal glitter topper. So that's why I decided to make my own and have that be part of my creative process. Now, granted, it is still like I'm putting money towards making like towards my polish making supplies. But one of the things that I think I'll probably mention when I get to that part of the video is that there is a, you know, the difference between how much it costs to buy like a ready-made bottle of polish versus to buy the supplies yourself. But we'll get to that later on. So because of that, this will be a slightly longer video than usual, but as always, I'll put timestamps in a pinned comment also in the description. So feel free to skip around however you like. Feel free to grab a nice cup of hot cocoa and settle in with a warm blanket, and let's get into some glitter. All right. To begin with, I want to explain a little bit about how I've chosen to structure today's video to make it consistent, organized, all that good stuff. So I know that as I look at the various toppers that I have in my collection, I always wonder, like, will this topper work better over white or will it work better over black? And then once I've determined that, that helps me to get a sense of like, okay, so then if I decide to do a different color or a different finish beyond just like a regular creme, where might I get the best look out of this? And so to start with getting some kind of foundation of putting a topper over a white versus black background, I'll be doing this for all of the various toppers that I'll be featuring today. And then in addition to that, for each topper, I'll be showing how it looks over a certain type of polish that I've also pulled out of my collection so that you can see, okay, if you want to use this topper in context beyond just over a creme, here's an example of how I have found that I've gotten the most success out of it. Now, for telling you which polishes I'm using for my white-black split, for my white, it's more of an off-white, and you can probably see like the fill line here because I have been using this polish a lot. I love it. It is Cracked Polish Crinkled Linens, which is just off-white enough to, I always say, to make you feel like you haven't put white out on your fingers. And then, as always, for my black cream polish, Bee's Knees Lacquer Void. And something I do want to point out here is that I used to live in New York City. I was there for college. I was going to say not that long ago, but like, ooh, it is almost it's been like 20, I'm just gonna not say how long that's been, but this does remind me of the like white and black cookies that you can get in New York, so I kind of feel a little bit nostalgic there. Anyway, also let's see how well I'm able to make a straight line throughout this whole video. So first up, we're going to start with a silver scattered holographic topper. The one that I have here is from ILNP, My Private Rainbow X. If you've been watching a lot of my videos and you've seen this polish before, I'm going to repeat the same thing I say each time I show this, just as a full disclaimer. This bottle actually has a combination of My Private Rainbow X and also the remaining half bottle that I had of Holo Taco's scattered hollow silver topper. So if you see that the particle density of this is a little bit different than your My Private Rainbow X, that's probably why. But just to say, if you are choosing between those two polishes and you're trying to figure out which silver scattered hollow topper you might want to go with, in my experience, the Holo Taco one, it tends to be a little bit more on the subtle side, whereas ILNP's My Private Rainbow X is the one that's like a little bit more like bam in your face. But they work really well combined together. Again, I just want to be very transparent about that. Okay, so again, scattered silver hollow topper. That is a lot to say, but let's start first by putting it over the white and black so that y'all can see a difference in how it behaves there. And as I'm swatching this out, I will say this is something that I highly recommend doing for the toppers in your collection, because I promise once you get a better sense of whether a certain topper tends to work better over lighter or darker polishes, this will help you to more easily understand how you can leverage it with other polishes. So let me tell you what I'm seeing as I'm looking at this. If you take a look, and let me see if I can actually zoom in a bit here. Okay, there we go. If you take a look at the white side there, you can see that the holographic glitter is giving a little bit more of a like speckled finish that is, at least to my eye, I see more silver over white than I do holographic colors like I do on the black side. Shifting over to the black side for this, I see beautiful rainbow colors. It's just gorgeous and very vivid, whereas on white, not so much. So for me, and how I use My Private Rainbow X or the Holo Taco scattered Holo Taco topper, I tend to use this over darker polishes to get the best effect. In addition to this, I've also had a lot of success with using this type of topper over multi-chrome polishes. So multi-chromes on their own, I feel like already give you a lot of good color shiftiness, but if you put this kind of topper over it, you get even more color payoff. So the one that I'm using for this example is Alchemy Lacquer's Excelsior, which is kind of like a, I mean, y'all know with multi-chromes you get a number of different color shifts. I would say I'm picking up on like a burgundy to gold to green vibe here, with maybe some purple in there too. So let me show y'all how it looks when I put My Private Rainbow X over that. And as always, what I'm going to do as I'm filming this video, I'm going to film these swatches in other lighting so that you can see how they look in different lighting with the sparkle. I mean, I was, as always, I would love to be able to do that outside so that you could see the sparkle in the sunlight, but as I'm looking outside right now, y'all, there ain't no sunlight. It is just a very gray, overcast day. But to kind of wrap this portion up, I would say a silver scattered holo topper like this at this particle size is excellent to use over darker colors or multi-chromes. Up next is another silver scattered holo topper, which is Starlily's stars. And I recently discussed this in I think what will be my most recent video before this, the Did I Nail It for Hella Handmade Creations December 2025. And I explained how for a certain dupe attempt, I was considering whether I wanted to use My Private Rainbow X or Starlily's Stars. And I did a side-by-side comparison where I showed the difference in the glitter particle size. And for that scenario, I explained that My Private Rainbow X was the one that was going to work better for me to use. But now I do also want to spotlight stars, because I feel that there are times where I want some sparkle. I also, when I work with toppers, I often refer to this as like, I want some more visual texture or some more visual interest, meaning that like I don't necessarily want physical texture, but if I'm just starting with a basic creme polish, I just kind of want to zhuzh it up a bit and give not blinding sparkle, but just like, you know, something. So first of all, yay, my line was a little bit straighter this time around. Yay me, progress is being made. And so let me show y'all how it looks when I put stars over black. A little bit more there. Okay. I promise y'all it's there. It is there. Let me get that in focus. Okay. So I'm just being very slowly going back and forth. What I want you all to notice here is the difference in the particle size between what we had over here with My Private Rainbow X and what Stars is now giving. This is why it's so essential to like understand how not all toppers are going to give you the same kind of effect. Now, if I focus in on what I'm seeing with how Stars behaves over white, like it is barely popping there over stark white, or like this off-white, but I do see it a little bit more over black. But in this case, I know like before I showed it over like a darker multi-chrome polish, I do want to show how Stars looks over a more pastel colored polish, because if I go back to what I mentioned here with like how My Private Rainbow X shows up over lighter colors, I mentioned that I really don't use My Private Rainbow X over lighter colors because I end up seeing more silver when I want colorful sparkle. But if I put stars over, oh, actually I should probably tell you what color this is. Okay, this is pale green that I've got here. Comes from Color Club, and it is called Anything But Basic. As a side note, if any of you are looking for an excellent creme polish in this color, I highly recommend this one. Because you know how sometimes pastel color polishes can tend to be, they can tend to have a formula that's very streaky, very difficult to work with. This one is thick in a good way. Like I was able to get this level of opacity in just 2 coats. It's nearly a 1 coater, but I always do 2 just to, you know, be extra thorough. But let me show you how Stars looks over this. Okay, so let's get it there. So what we've got here, this is one where I would say if I did want over black, I can absolutely do that, and I think Stars really shines over black, but I'm choosing to show you it over a lighter color because of how this is an excellent topper to use when you're wanting some more visual interest, but in a more scattered way than what you would have in something like My Private Rainbow X. I would say this is almost like if you want your nails to have a slightly like speckled look to them, but just something very dainty. Again, I highly recommend Stars. It's an excellent one to have in your collection if you are looking for something that's like, not to that extent, but just, you know, a little bit more subtle. Okay, for this next one, I'm just going to start by saying that the example combination that I've set up here that you all will see shortly is probably my favorite combination that I came up with as I was planning out this video, and as someone who does not often wear neutral color polishes, this combination got me so excited to wear this, and you'll see what I mean in a moment. So this next one comes from Crack Polish. It's called Make It Pretty. This came out in one of their most recent collections, and I believe the website describes it as a rose gold holographic topper. Personally, I would describe it as more of a champagne color, but I love this. This is one that can be considered like a updated version of a gold holographic topper that Cracked previously had in their collection but was unfortunately discontinued. This one was called Truly Outrageous, and again with fill lines. You can't see because of the angle, but when this is laying down, or when this is like standing upright, the fill line is like right above the Cracked font there. Thankfully, I do have a couple backups of this because for a while I just was on the hunt for a good gold holographic topper, could not find one anywhere. But what I want to do now is just compare these two. So on the right is Truly Outrageous, on the left is Make It Pretty, and you can see the difference there. Don't get me wrong, there's still times when the effect that I want is something that is like true gold, and that's when I go for Truly Outrageous. But now I love Make It Pretty for times when I want like a holographic topper effect, but I want something that's a little bit warmer than the standard silver hollow topper. I also chose to spotlight this one for this video instead of Truly Outrageous because, as I mentioned, Truly Outrageous has been discontinued, but Make It Pretty is still available. So this is one that, and I would say if it's not currently available on the Crack Polish site, it should be restocked. I realized I need to put down one more coat here of this jelly that I'm using. This is like a neutral beige jelly from Cert Colors called, well, the last time I used this, I could not pronounce this, so I don't remember what I settled on. Okay. Voile. I think I called it voile. I don't know. So what I'm doing here is that I'm building this up in 3 coats because it is a jelly polish, so it needs a little bit more opacity. But you'll see in just a moment once this dries what I'm choosing to do with it. Okay, so voila. Now, as that's drying, let's go ahead and Make It Pretty on top of the white and black swatch. Isn't that pretty? I mean, I know it's in the title, but y'all, come on, it is just gorgeous. So you can see slightly here that difference between, like, I would say you want to compare what you're seeing with Make It Pretty over to My Private Rainbow X in terms of the difference in having, let's see if I can zoom in and keep it in focus. Okay, the difference between My Private Rainbow X, which is silver, and Make It Pretty, which is giving more of like that warmer champagne color finish, but still, as you can see on the black side here, still giving you that holographic sparkle. It is just, yeah, it is gorgeous. So now, the way that I have discovered how I want to use this is that I think with this being like a warmer color topper, it works incredibly well over warm color bases. And in this case, I built up three coats of this like neutral nude jelly polish. Okay, I'm just gonna say, take a deep breath, because this one is just, here we go. Look at that. I mean, I should have let that dry a little bit more. I was too excited. But like, look at that. It is just, oh, I know what this reminds me of. Okay, I am going to insert like a photo in the upper corner. I just realized what this reminds me of. Okay, I'm a millennial, and this reminds me of the iconic Britney Spears "Oops, I Did It Again" performance at the MTV Video Music Awards back in, I think that was 2000 that she did that, and her bodysuit was exactly like this. So I really love Make It Pretty. If you are looking for this kind of topper to add to your collection, fantastic formula, very versatile, and I just wanted to include this to help you see that there are some other options for glittery toppers beyond silver. And especially if you are someone who, like me, you have a cool undertone and don't often wear warmer based polishes, having a topper like this in your collection is an excellent way to get a little bit more of that warmth, but in a way that's going to work for you and your undertone. So all of the three toppers that we've done so far have all been holographic glitter, meaning that when you put them in light, you see like a colorful rainbow sparkle there. Now we're shifting into a couple of toppers that are reflective glitter. If you are newer to the nail polish world, I want to explain that reflective glitters are the kinds that are often referred to as flash reflective glitter because they come alive when they are exposed to light, like an intense light source. So like if I had if I were taking a picture of this bottle and showed it with the flash on, and I can actually insert a picture up there to show you what I mean there. So this is a silver reflective glitter topper. This is from KBShimmer, called Out of Sequins. You can see that there's like an R there letting you know that it's reflective. Now, something to keep in mind about reflective glitter, if you have not worked with it before, is that it does tend to have like a grittier texture to it. And I know for some people that can be a deal breaker because they don't like to have that kind of more intense texture on their nails. Sometimes you might need to use something like a glitter smoother over that to give a more even surface before putting on your final top coat, but that does not affect the sparkle that you get from it. So the reason why I'm separating these out is that I want to show how reflective glitters such as Out of Sequins are ones that I choose to use in a different way than with my hollow ones. So as always, okay, look at that. I am making progress. Let's go back to where we started. I mean, there was an attempt. Okay, here we go. We've got our white and black cookie again, and I'm gonna put Out of Sequins on here. Okay, so with this, let's see if I can zoom in a bit there. Okay, what I want you to notice in this swatch of Out of Sequins over white and black is that on both sides here, but especially on the black side, like you see, it almost feels like it's been smeared on there. So compared to these the holographic toppers where we had more of like a sprinkle here, it's like, it's just very, that's the word I want to go for. It's more cloudy. And I feel like when I am choosing to use a glitter topper, cloudy is not the vibe that I'm going for. I want sparkle. And so, you know, you also see it on the white side as well. This is something that I always bring up when I am using Out of Sequins and my dupe attempts, that like, I always want to be cognizant of the way that it can appear over a white background and giving you this, like, it doesn't look cute and sparkly to me. It looks dusty. So, okay. So that's where we are so far with this. And it is for this reason that I very rarely, if ever, use reflective glitter toppers over trim polishes like this. The way that I do choose to use them is over something that's like a shimmer or multi-chrome polish. And the one that I have here is one that many of you will probably have in your collections as well. It's from Cliona Cosmetics, psilocybin. And this is a magnetic polish, but for today's test, I'm gonna show how it looks unmagnetized. So far, I've put it down here in 2 coats. So I'm gonna show you how the silver reflective glitter topper out of Sequins looks over psilocybin. Okay, look at that. Look at that. Like, you see just the sparkle here. You don't see that like cloudiness. You don't see the dustiness. And I think it's because dustiness, is that a word? I don't know. It is now. And I think this is because of the nature of having a polish that is like a multi-chrome or shimmer formula, in that there's something about it that sort of masks and disguises that dusty and cloudy aspect that often comes along with using a silver reflective or any kind of reflective glitter topper. So like when it's the case that I am wearing something like psilocybin, and which is beautiful enough on its own, don't get me wrong, but I have mentioned many times on this channel that I can be very extra in a good way. I love sparkle. I just love giving it that extra pop, especially if I know I'm going somewhere where I'm going to be putting my hands in people's faces, or like I talk a lot with my hands. And if I know, if I know I'm going somewhere where I'm going to be talking with people a lot, and also that it's in an environment where there's going to be lighting that will bounce off of my nails. Like, y'all, this is how intentional I am when I plan out my manicures. Putting a reflective glitter topper over that is such an excellent idea. So again, this is KBShimmer's out of Sequins, which is silver. And now I'm gonna set up our next swatch, which is gonna be a gold reflective glitter topper. Next up is Starrily Golden Starlight, which is a gold reflective glitter topper. Now, if I were to put this side by side with Make It Pretty, which is a holographic glitter topper, again, I know it's tricky because of the fill lines that are in here, but hopefully you can already see like some of that difference between how the glitter particles look when you've got holographic on the left and reflective glitter on the right. Now, I will say that as I think I've mentioned a little bit about my nail polish journey on this channel, but I started doing my nails in July of 2024 because I realized that every time that I was washing my hair, it would stain my nails, and I needed some way to make it not look like that. And then I just fell in love with all of this. And so at a certain point, I heard about reflective glitter, and most commonly you're going to see silver reflective glitter. But then I think it wasn't until like the fall, like sometime earlier this year, that I heard that gold and other types of colors were also part of like what you can do, what's available with reflective glitter. And I just really became fascinated with that. I mean, my fill line here is probably like halfway at this point. So let's start off like we've been doing before. I'm going to show you how this looks over our white and black cookie. I miss New York. I miss garlic knots. I mean, we've got pizza here in Chicago, but it's like, it's a different pizza, you know? Don't get me started on that pizza war. Okay. I need to put a little bit more polish on here to get a full coat. There we go. Okay. So let's take a look at this, and you will see that it's very similar to what we had with out of Sequins, our silver reflective glitter topper. I would say very similar on the black side of the swatch, where what we get is very cloudy, and then on the white side it's not as bad, but I still think it looks a little bit dusty. Like this took me by surprise the first couple times I was working with this kind of gold reflective glitter topper, because to me, I thought of it like, okay, well, if I want like silver, or I'm sorry, if I want gold over black, I've got a black cream polish, and then I've got a silver, I keep saying silver, I've got a gold reflective glitter topper. It should sparkle, right? But there's just something about the formula and the consistency of how reflective glitter looks when it's like clumped together like this, that at least to me, it looks more cloudy, and it doesn't give what I was hoping for, which is more like what you get with Make It Pretty. So then that leads us to the question, how do I often use my gold reflective glitter topper? And if you are also wondering that for your gold reflective glitter topper, I have found that a shimmer polish is a fantastic way to get some great use out of it. The one that I have today is Polish for Days, What Was I Made For, which is Barbie inspired. And I've built it up here in 3 coats. I really encourage you to, like, if you have reflective glitter toppers in your collection, whether they are silver, gold, or any other color, I guarantee you will find some of your best results when you combine them with shimmer polishes as your foundation. And this was a case where I decided to get a little bit out of my comfort zone and make this kind of combination that I really would not have done. Like, if you ask me like, oh, what colors go well with pink, I probably would not say gold is the first one, but y'all check this out. Okay, here we go. All right. Just a little bit more. Okay. Look at that. Just look at that. Again, here's what I want you to be noticing with this. Notice that when you put a reflective glitter topper over something like a shimmer, the formula and the consistency of that shimmer polishes actually works well together with the consistency and formula of the reflective glitter topper, instead of working against it like you have when you put it over a creme polish. So in this case, it's like, I don't see any of the dustiness. I don't see any of the cloudiness. I just see beautiful gold sparkle. And I think that part of why this gold works well over the pink here is that it helps to bring out the warmth that's there in the pink. And I just like, I can't stress enough, like, how, not just how much fun I personally have as I prepare and plan for these videos and try to figure out, like, what do I want to present, which polishes do I want to use, but then, like, I walk away with combinations, layering combinations that I never would have considered had I not sat down to do this for a video. But then I'm like, okay, next time I'm wearing what was I made for, I'm putting golden Starlight on top of that. So if you're looking for a gold reflective glitter topper, golden Starlight from Starrily, fantastic. And I believe like KBShimmer, where we had over here with Out of Sequins, has some really good reflective glitter toppers in other colors too. But yeah, these are the 2 reflective glitter toppers that I wanted to show. So let's move on to the next type. Okay, up next we are getting into what I would describe as just like glitter. It's not holographic, it's not reflective, it's just glitter, but y'all will see what I'm saying. So this polish is Cracked with Sugar on Top. This, I believe, came as part of their holiday collection last year, and it is just very gorgeous silver sparkly glitter. So this is not something that is flash reactive like the reflective glitter. It's not something that's going to give you rainbow sparkle like my Private Rainbow, but I do want to put these side by side just so that you can see. Hopefully these can all fit on my hand. Okay, let's do that. Okay, there we go. So on the left, we've got my Private Rainbow X. On the right, we've got Out of Sequins. This is reflective, scattered silver holographic. And in the middle, we have With Sugar on Top, which is silver, but as I mentioned, it is just you get silver glitter and not the others. I mention this because I think that as you are exploring toppers and learning how to work with them, it's very important to make sure that you have a good understanding of the type of effect and outcome that you're looking for, and then ensuring that whichever polish you choose to purchase or use for a certain manicure is one that is best suited for that purpose. So just for example, if you wanted to go for like a rainbow effect, with sugar on top is not the polish for that. However, if you are looking for something that's more of, hey, I want my nails to look like I put my hand in, no, I want my nails to look like I have a bag of silver glitter and I threw that up in the air and it fell on my nails and now they are sparkly silver. That is what you're getting here. So let me show y'all how this looks. Okay, just a little bit more. Okay. I would say, at least for the batch that I got, I found that I needed to put a little bit of thinner in with sugar on top to get it to have more of the density and like the consistency that I wanted. Previously, it had a little bit of like a gray cast with it that instead of seeing like, oh, I've put silver on top of white and black, it was like I was seeing the silver like in its own kind of like cloud of like polish around it, if that makes sense. So here's how it looks over black and over white. I personally have found that I really love how it looks over white. You know how going back to where we started with putting My Private Rainbow X over white, and how I mentioned that to me at least looked a little bit like gray, and nothing wrong with gray, but it wasn't giving me the really nice sparkly effect that I wanted. Whereas if I do want to see like I want pure silver over white, putting with sugar on top over top of white is a fantastic choice in my opinion. So now let's go on to other ways that I found to use it. I think that with sugar on top works excellently over creme polishes. And the one that I'm using here, okay y'all, at some point I should just get like sponsored by Cracked or something. I promise this video is not Cracked sponsored. I'm not a brand ambassador, though hey Monique, if you're watching, hi. But I just love their polishes. I buy them and I think that they are fantastic building blocks to have in my collection to use not only on their own, but as you have seen, in conjunction with layering. Okay, so this one, blue creme polish called Grotto. And a heads up about the consistency of this one, I did this in 2 coats. Now, when you put that first coat down, I often say in these videos, trust the process. The first coat might look a little patchy, but I promise once you put on the second coat, it levels out beautifully. It looks like you are in a grotto. It's lovely. So let me show you how it looks when I put with sugar on top over Grotto. And this with sugar on top, I would say it is a topper that you really, it's best when you err on the side of less is more. I mean, look at that. This, so spoiler alert, probably the next video that I'm going to film after this one is going to be one that I've been planning for a while now, a video about Hanukkah nail art. In that video, I'm going to explain I'm not Jewish, but I have friends who are, and I know that everyone deserves to be able to see lovely nail art ideas that relate to their faith and their culture, and so I want to show my support of that. So be on the lookout for that video coming up at some point over the next week. So yeah, I think this would be an excellent combination to choose for like blue and silver if you're going for a Hanukkah vibe, or even if you are like looking for a nice winter, a nice wintry look there. I think that also with sugar on top, this is a polish that I feel comes to life even more after I've put a glossy top coat over it. So coming up next, when you see that how I've showcase this in different light, I think you'll see more of what I mean about how that glossy top coat really seals everything in and makes it sparkle even more. The next topper is one that I have absolutely fallen in love with ever since I bought it, I think a few months ago. It is truly unlike any other topper that I have in my collection. It is from Familiar Polish, and it is called The Lovers, the Dreamers, and Me. Now, if we take a closer look at what's going on here, it looks like, ooh, y'all, it looks like Orbeez. You know, those little, I'll put a picture up here so that y'all know what I'm talking about. It looks like Orbeez. And you can see how, if you take a look at like the ones that are sticking to the outside of the bottle, it's like they're these tiny, colorful, rainbow, translucent glitters. And because they're kind of translucent, we can do some fun stuff with it. So, okay, I'm really hyped right now. Okay, I'm gonna show, as always, how this looks over our cookie. And by the way, you see what I mean about how when I put top coat over with sugar on top, it looks so much nicer there. Okay, I'm just laughing because I know what's gonna happen here, and you all y'all see what's going on here. I'm gonna pause and say, take a minute to think. What do you think is going to happen? Like, how's this gonna look over white? How's this gonna look over black? Okay, you ready? Here we go. I promise I'm swatching it over black too, I promise. But look at that. So, like, this is the perfect example of what I mean by, you know, when I've been saying, get an understanding of how your polished, like how your toppers work, and do they work better over lighter or darker ones. So while I'm talking about this a bit more, I'm going to go ahead and swatch it out over this white one here so that I can have a chance to dry, because I want to tell you a little bit about what we're going to do next. But you can see how when I put this on here, I do need to like manipulate them just a little bit, just to make sure that I get somewhat even coverage around here. But you know, compared to some other glitter toppers where, let's say, if they're a little bit more on the chunky side, I think all of us at some point have probably experienced at least one glitter topper where you see the swatch photos and they look really nice, and then you get the bottle and it still looks really nice, but then you try to like swipe it out and nothing happens, and then you keep having to fish through and everything. The Lovers, the Dreamers, and Me is not like that at all. You just need to maybe spread it out a bit to get the kind of coverage that you want. Okay, so this looks like funfetti, like a funfetti cupcake. It is such a beautiful polish, and I think that as you can see here, it works far better over lighter color polishes. You can also do it on top of like this green one here that I had earlier, like anything but basic. And it's very interesting to play around with it in that way, because whereas here you see, like, because it's over white, you see the true colors for, now I'm thinking of True Colors by Cyndi Lauper. Let me not start singing. But you see these colors for what they truly are. But then I've had a lot of fun playing around with this topper, putting it over other colors like green, because you still get the rainbow, but it's almost like there's like a green tint to it. So it's very fun to work with. Okay, so now that this is dried down a bit, let me see if I can get this to focus the way that I want. You can see here that when these dry down, there's a little bit of texture there. Now, not to the point where it becomes something that is like abrasive or something that is annoying to have on your hands, but I do think that this works well when you put a glitter smoother on top of it. So that's actually what I'm going to do on this one. Actually, no, just a top coat in this case I think should be fine, because that's I'm just doing this for swatching purposes. But if I were to like wear this as an actual manicure, as this is drying down, you can probably see even more from the side of like what I mean about that little bit of raised texture. So if you're wearing this for real, put a glitter smoother over it, or you got another option here. Okay, so we've got funfetti, right? And like I said, you could wear it like this. You could put a glitter smoother, you put a top coat and be on your way. That is very valid. Or you could take it to another level and do like a jelly sandwich. So what I did here, I started with 1 coat of cracked polish crinkled linens, like the same white that we have here. I put 1 coat of the topper, the lovers, the dreamers, and me. And now I'm gonna follow that up with a beautiful white jelly topper, again from Cracked, which is Vanille. And if you've never done a jelly sandwich before, this is where you start with a base color, you put a topper there, and then you seal it up like a sandwich by putting some kind of jelly topper over it. And oh, just wait till y'all see what this is gonna do. If you thought that this was funfetti before, look at this. Now, I do need to be a little intentional about making sure that I spread this out over here evenly, but Vanille as a jelly polish is very self-leveling. Look at that. Now, instead of it being like, I mean, it still is funfetti, but putting a jelly topper or putting a jelly over it as like a topper to seal it in, kind of like blurs out the edges of the glitter in there, and it almost looks like you're looking at Fruit Loops and milk cereal. Y'all, I've got an analogy for everything in here. Just kind of go with it. It's gonna be fine. But this is how I like to wear this polish. And in this case, Vanille is basically acting as like your glitter smoother. If you're unfamiliar with what I'm talking about when I say a glitter smoother, this is the one that I use from Glisten and Glow. It is called Glitter Grabber. I will say it is essentially just like plain suspension base that's used for nail polish. So like if you were to have something like a, I don't know, just a regular creme polish or a jelly polish, a glitter grabber is like the foundation of building nail polish, but before you put in any kind of like pigments, any kind of dyes, any glitter or so on. And what it does is that it adds an additional layer of that suspension base over top of what you have already put down on your nails, so that once you've let that dry, you then can follow it up with top coat, and the top coat is able to go on a much smoother surface. So if you don't already have one of these in your collection, I highly recommend it. And look at that. Yeah, this is such a fun topper, such a unique one in my collection. And yeah, so we're gonna take a look at this and some other lighting, and then I've got another final special thing that we're gonna do. So I'm very excited about this final part of the video, because as I was planning this out, I thought, yeah, I definitely want to show all of my favorite toppers, or my glitter toppers that I have. But then I also want to show a little bit of how I have started to dip my toe into the waters of polish making for times when I want there to be a certain type of topper, but I just can't find it anywhere. So I'm gonna make it myself. And so earlier this year, I went to the Polish and Beauty Expo, and which by the way is open for registration for next year's expo. I'll be there. Woo! Probably making sound effects the whole time too, so watch out. And as part of the expo this year, I participated in the polish making workshop, and it was a ton of fun. Like, you walk into this room where they had like, I don't know, 8 or 10 tables set up, like these round tables, people sitting around the tables. Every table has like, you have your own kit in front of you. You have like the suspension base, you've got thinner, you've got pigments, and then at the very front of the room, there was this long table filled with all the glitter that you could ever imagine. And I made a few polishes, but then also fell in love with it and went home, did some budgeting, and realized that, okay, I still do continue to buy ready-made, I guess, polishes that come up that I'm interested in, but I've increasingly started to shift my polish budget over to polish making supplies, because I found that sometimes I'm very particular about the type of polish that I want, and I'd much rather make it myself instead of maybe settling for something that's not quite it. And B, I found it's way more cost effective, to have, once you see how little it costs to buy like a packet of glitter, and then to see how little, like how tiny amount of that you need to be able to make a topper. So I want to show you some examples of toppers that I've made in the past. This one here, it looks like a regular silver hollow topper, but what I did in this one is that I used silver holographic glitter, but also put in a little bit of purple, light purple lilac glitter, and also a little bit of light mint green glitter. And it is just, it gives such a great, like, balanced out effect to the holographic that, I was just mixing stuff up, but I fell in love with that. Then, I mentioned earlier in this video, I was on the quest for the perfect gold holographic topper, and I couldn't find it at the time, so I made this one myself. This is, you can see, almost empty, but I still use this from time to time. And then, I love red. Nobody has like a red, just glitter, like not reflective, but just like red glitter topper, so I made this for myself. And what I did here to give it some visual interest, some visual depth, was that I believe I mixed up 2 different sizes of red glitter. So that way it wasn't just like only one size. When you put glitter as a topper over your nail, it really can add to the sense of visual interest when you've got a variety of sizes in there. Okay, so with all that being said, let's make a glitter topper. Woo! I decided to pull out a few different glitter pouches from my collection, and I forgot to like pull out my receipts for these, and to be able to tell y'all just like the amount that I paid for like one of these packets, but I will put that up here so that, again, you can get a sense of what I'm talking about when I say, for me, starting to dip my toe into the waters of making polishes for myself, I'm doing so in a way where I am putting the money that I would have put into ready-made polishes into supplies that I can use to last me a lot longer. So I'll also, in the description of this video, I'll make sure to put in links to the 2 websites where I get my polish making supplies. The one that I use is, I don't know how to pronounce it, Elrisi. That's what it is. They have gorgeous glitter pigments. This one that I'm using is peacock green. Also, it's very important to take note of the size of your glitter particles for like when you're combining them. Like I said, for the red, you might want something in addition to this that's a little bit larger, a little bit smaller, like if you're working with the same color. Next, this is also from Elrisi. This is holographic pigment orange gold. And then I've got, this is 0. Okay, this is good. We will have some like slightly different size glitter. 0.3 millimeter American red. So I was thinking I want to make like a fun little holiday glitter topper that combines some red, some gold, some green, so that I will have my custom made topper that I can use throughout this upcoming holiday season. So now that brings me over to some of my other polish making supplies. One, and I can put a link to this in the description as well. Look at this little baby bottle. Look how cute that is. This is a 5 milliliter nail polish bottle. I tend to use these when I'm just doing initial prototypes so that I don't like end up wasting my materials on a polish result that ends up being not really it. But then once I decide, yeah, that size works for me, that's when I will then use, and I'll put the link to these bottles as well. These are 15 milliliter ones. Another thing to note, the smaller bottles that I use have more of like a straight brush, and the part of why I like these 15 milliliter ones is that they come with a paddle brush, which is my preferred size, shape. You'll know what I mean. Okay, so we've got the bottle that we're going to be using. That then brings me over to suspension base, and the one that that's like, it took over the whole screen. Glitter Unique is the company that works with the Polish and Beauty Expo to put on the polish making workshop. And this one here is a glitter suspension base, which is different from like your mica pigment suspension base, because like if you're just making like a regular, like a creme or a jelly, and you're just putting pigment dye in that, you mix that up, boom. Like I've also made my own jelly polishes when I've needed to, but for times when you are using glitter and you want to ensure that your glitter will stay suspended within the polish and that it won't just sink all the way down, that's when you use something like this. So I also use these little like mixing cups that have different markings on the side and various units, and I've poured out like 5 milliliters of this. I also keep on my nail desk some thinner. This is from KBShimmer Restoration Drops, and I tend to put a couple drops of thinner in here to begin with, just because I know the original consistency of this is going to be pretty thick, and I like to add some thinner just to get it going there, because I think it's going to be easier for me to get that thinner evenly distributed here more easily than once it's in the bottle. And also too, I tend to personally put a lot of, not a lot, but like I tend to be very generous with how I put my thinner in my glitter toppers, because I tend to prefer a more, yeah, that's better. I tend to prefer a more sparse, like spread out, scattered look. And so the more thinner that you apply, and once you get it to the consistency that you want, that is how I'm like, okay, that's really good. So I also have, I think I bought these from Glitter Unique, these really cute little like measuring spoons, like a drop, a smidgen, a pinch, a tad. So once again, you will be surprised by just how little glitter you need to make a glitter topper. So like, and just how easy this process is. So like, there have been times seriously where I was getting ready to go out somewhere and I had my outfit planned, but I realized I didn't really have a glitter topper already that was going to match. And so I was just like, okay, let me make it. And then I made it and then put it on my nails, and it was wonderful. So I am going to take so I'm using a drop here. Once again, take a look at this entire bag, and this is the little amount that I'm using here. Bloop. Make sure you seal your packets up because glitter gets everywhere. And now I tend to mix these in one at a time so that I can see how it's looking. See, we've got a topper already. Now let's go in with the red. I also like to have another paper towel on hand so that I can like wipe the spoons as I'm using them, so that I don't like transfer some of the green into the red bag and so on. So now I'm gonna do another little drop of the American Red. And you know, I'm doing these in like even amounts, but another really fun thing that you can do with this is play around with it. So like if you wanted this to lean more gold than red or green, you could do that. You can play around with the proportions and make it so that it fits the color balance that you're looking for. Oh, look at that. That is beautiful. Okay, once again, I'm going to wipe this off. Sometimes you kind of really have to get in there with that. That should be fine. Okay. And last but certainly not least, I've got this, it says like orange gold. Like I was intentional with this. Like I wanted one that was, had a little bit of a warmth to it. I just opened this up and there's like glitter everywhere. Do you see this? Okay. Woo. Okay. I think I'm gonna do a slightly more generous scooping here. You see how that's a little more generous than the others? So, okay. Let's do that. Sprinkle this through. And just really make sure that you get it off the walls of the cup as well. And because, as you've seen, this is one where I started with like a more, well, I ended with a more generous helping of the gold. I still do have the red and green sprinkled here, but this is one where like, I would consider this to be like a gold topper that happens to have red and green in it. So now that I've got this, what I'm gonna do is cross my fingers and I don't make a mess. They have funnels you can use to pour, but I get impatient, so I just kind of like squeeze the sides and go very slowly. I also recommend if you do this, don't fill it up all the way to the top, because if it's the case that you end up needing to put some extra thinner in here, you want to leave some additional room for that thinner. But in this case, I think I'm okay because I already put in the thinner that I want. So then I put this in here. I'm still covered in glitter. And here we go. I just made a glitter topper. It's that easy. So last thing I'm gonna do is I've swatched out my white and black cookie. I've also put down 2 coats of a dark green, almost leaning teal polish, Mooncat Poison Ivy. I know that there's green in this polish, but what I wanted to do was like, you know, it's not the same shade of green. So Poison Ivy looks like this, and this green glitter looks like that. So this will still show up on top of Poison Ivy. Let's see how this looks. I'm so excited for this. Okay. And again, this is not a brush that I like to use a whole lot, but you know, it works for what it is. Okay, that is how it looks over white and black. And now I'm gonna put this over Poison Ivy. Yep, and that is exactly what I was hoping for here, where it sort of feels like you've got a Christmas tree background, but then you put a bunch of gold on there, and then if you look again, you're like, oh, there's red in there. Oh, there's some green in there too. So yeah, and so this is how you make your own nail polish. I will, if you all found this part to be helpful, I would love to show you again when I do the videos for my favorite shimmer toppers and my favorite flaky toppers. But yeah, I really love how this turned out. Now I just need to like get all this glitter off of me, and yeah, let's get this all wrapped up. Woo! This was, okay, I know I always say this at the end of my videos, but seriously, like, this was such a fun video to film. I think that part of why I say that at the end of every video is it's sort of like my reflection and check for myself, where as I got into establishing this channel, one of the first things I told myself was like, if I'm not having fun with this, then that's not right. I want to make sure I'm having fun with this. And I absolutely had so much fun with this, not just for me to get some better ideas of how I can use toppers in my collection, but also to have the fun of like presenting this in a way that I hope is going to be very helpful for you all who are watching, who may not currently be leaning towards toppers as a significant part of your nail polish routine. But hopefully now that you have seen more ideas and strategies about the potential of various types of toppers, I hope this gives you some inspiration. If you have any suggestions for other types of toppers, like glitter toppers for now, or if you have questions about any of these, please feel free to leave a comment. I'm happy to help guide you on your glitter journey, if you will. And yeah, thank you all so much for being here, for being part of this channel. I hope that the rest of your day is filled with all the sparkle and glitter that you can possibly imagine. And until then, I will see you later. Bye, everyone.